Farmers targeted by Labour's inheritance tax raid have revealed they suffer from a hidden problem: deteriorating mental health and soaring rates of suicide. One 22-year-old farmer, Daniel Boomer, set out to increase the visibility of farmers' mental health after struggling with his own.
Can I give you a hug?
Yes, you're more than welcome to.
Mind you, a bit tall.
Yeah, how are you?
I agree.
Are you okay?
Yeah, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good. You enjoying your day?
Yeah, nice to get up and about.
The Farm Safety Foundation said it had experienced a 55% increase in demand for counselling and a 13% rise in calls to its crisis support line from worried farmers after Labour announced an inheritance tax raid in the budget. Farmers have been pleading with the government to abandon the tax, saying it will destroy their livelihoods.
I think it's quite a buoyant atmosphere, but again met with a bit of frustration as to the lack of acknowledgement from the government. You know, Rachel from Accounts, they're just not listening, and I don't think they've grasped the importance of what they're messing with here. And it basically shows in every other aspect of the country of what they're doing. They think everything would continue as normal, but they could change the goalposts. Yeah. Unfortunately, as we've seen, that is not the case, and every decision has a reaction.
Tensions have hit the point where Keir Starmer was heckled at a recent visit to a housing estate. The Prime Minister had to flee the angry farmers.
Obviously, the Prime Minister's here to visit. Have you brought? Is one of the tractors yours?
Yes, yeah. Yes, one tractor's mine. Yeah.
You obviously had the big protest in Whitehall on Monday. Do you just feel you're not being listened to?
We're not being listened to at all. That's why we feel we have to come and see him in person.
And what do you hope to achieve?
Hopefully there will be some negotiations on this new tax brought in. It's been brought in all of a sudden without any warning. They promised they weren't going to bring it in, and we just want to negotiate it a little bit.
This is the Prime Minister leaving now. Are you sad that you haven't had a chance to speak to him?
No, but I'm sure he can hear us.
Just talk to us! Talk to us!
Would you like him to have stopped and talked to you?
Well, he wouldn't stop, but yes, we would like him to stop and discuss the matter.
Instead of backing down, the Prime Minister said it was the NHS or farmers.
So, you and I have just been at this ambitious development outside Milton Keynes, but we were chased away by the farmers. You wanted, while there, to shout about your ambitions to build new towns. Does it sometimes feel 2 steps forward, 1 back?
Well, I was there obviously to look at a new development, a very exciting development just outside Milton Keynes, which is going to be homes for very many people. And yes, there was a protest there. And to some extent, that draws out quite an important discussion that we have to have as a country. Because we passed a budget in the autumn of last year that had to do 2 things. The first was to stabilise and balance the books, the economy. And the second was to invest in things like our NHS and in housing. Do they prefer their waiting lists to come down? Do they want their mortgages to come down, the economy to start working for everyone? That's what we're trying to achieve. Or do we want to keep a tax break for farmers? But you can't have both.
Yet the farmer tax was projected to raise just £500 million. The NHS budget is £192 billion. £500 million wouldn't run the NHS for even a day. John O'Connell says the UK is actually donating more than that to foreign farmers.
We've seen farmers under the squeeze, and we've seen small businesses across the country being whacked in the budget. Of course, pensioners have got their own tail to tell with the cut in the winter fuel payments. And all of these projects will stick in the craw. And I think it's time to call this what it is. This is the hard-earned money of plumbers, electricians, hairdressers, bar staff being taken from them by force and sent overseas to sort of fund the moral crusades of an upper middle class elite that simply are completely out of touch with the rest of the country.
John, I wonder what would happen if Elon Musk got his hands on our foreign aid budget.
Well, I think a lot of those projects would be first for the chop. I think the one good thing to say about aid spending in the UK is that it's quite transparent, so we can see this with our own eyes. The one bad thing to say about aid spending in this country is about to go up by £500 million next year. Now, if £500 million sounds like a familiar figure, that's the amount that we send overseas to foreign farmers. That's the investigation work that we carried out at the Taxpayers Alliance. And also, guess what? That's the amount that we're going to take off farmers by removing agricultural property relief on inheritance tax. So the whole system is completely crazy.
Farmer James Wright said the protests would not stop until Labour changed course.
Well, the Countryside Alliance made it clear that until the elephant in the room, the family farm tax, is sorted, that Labour ministers wouldn't be welcome in the countryside. Now, that doesn't mean that they're unsafe, but it means that they will be made to be felt uncomfortable and unwelcome. And I think making so much noise that Keir Starmer can't do his media interviews at the end of his visit is probably an appropriate action, given the scale of damage the family farm tax will do to British farming and the nation's food security.
I understand this particular group was Farmers to Action. I mean, there are quite a few. I was at the protest on, was it Monday? Yes, Monday. I know you were there too in Whitehall, and there are all sorts of different groups. I imagine some will be more militant than others, James.
Yeah, absolutely. And, farmers are united in one voice that the family farm tax and that Labour in general are destroying the countryside. And it's so important that as all these groups come together, that we focus our energy against Labour, against Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves, and that we leave the public, don't disrupt the public. And don't block the food supply chain. And that is the key message from everyone, that this is within Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves' power to reverse. We've got the spring statement next month, and we so hope that they're going to announce either a softening or a U-turn, because otherwise things like this will carry on happening. The farmers who were there today are the same farmers who were there in London, and wherever Keir Starmer goes, the farmers will be following.
Yeah, I mean, James, it does seem as though the tactic from the government is to sort of ignore the issue. Just sort of hope that it blows over.
Yeah. But if you, I just had my neighbour come round for a cup of coffee this morning. He was born in the farmhouse. His father was born in that farmhouse before him. He does not care that farm is worth a lot of money. He will never, ever sell it. He never wants to sell it. It's the family crown jewels passed down between generation to generation. He earns less than minimum wage. He lives an incredibly simple life. But because Labour and Keir Starmer do not understand that farming is not profitable, that these are not businesses, these are family dynasties, that they cannot afford to pay the family farm tax. It's not that farmers don't want to pay tax, they pay income tax, they pay VAT, all sorts. It's that the inheritance tax does not stack up. Food production is not profitable enough. And governments since for the last 30 years have known that. It's just this government have come in and decided to change it. And this will not stop. This will carry on going.
Here's the bleak irony of this tax, that because so many farmers have been sitting on land that through no action of their own has just been part of this asset bubble that we've experienced in this country, the value of the land that they bought for not very much is now worth so much more. Ironically, this could be the only tax ever implemented that makes the person who is being taxed a lot of money, because suddenly people will have to sell their farms, sell all of this land, and they'll be very rich in cash terms because of that. But they'll have lost something culturally, something socially. They'll be worse off as individuals, even though on an Excel spreadsheet they'll look better off.
Absolutely. And this is what the Treasury don't understand. They sat down there and they've done their spreadsheets and they think this is wonderful. There's loads of money in the countryside. But the reality is it's an asset bubble, and the farmers never want to realise that asset. If you sell your farm, that is your culture gone, who you are, your identity, your everything. But the fact is that the farmers working the land are the ones producing the food. They're the ones protecting the environment. And the companies that will come in and buy these farms, they won't have the same aims. They won't employ people who have young families in our village schools, who use our pubs and village shops. this isn't just the nation's food security under threat. It's family farms and it's the communities that go around them. That is why farmers are so passionate. That's why there were 1,500 tractors in Whitehall on Monday. That is why those farmers, who I know were in Milton Keynes today, travelled all the way from Oxford or beyond to meet their horns so that Keir Starmer had to be evacuated in a helicopter. This will not end until they reverse the family farm tax, because it means so much to farmers. This is their livelihoods, but it's also their culture and their identity. And for some farmers, those farms have been passed down generation to generation.
To add insult to injury, the farming minister was accused of telling farmers they were not a priority for the government. Keir Starmer denied this.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday the farming minister told a conference of farmers that farming is not high in the pecking order for this government. Given the heartless family farm tax, is his minister correct? Yes or no?
Farming's top of the agenda as far as I'm concerned. That's why we put £5 billion to support farmers in the budget. They failed to spend £300 million on their watch on farming, and we set out our roadmap, which has been welcomed by the NFU, as she very well knows. It was described as long overdue. I wonder who didn't do it before.
Rachel Reeves said she had no choice but to hike taxes.
When I became Chancellor of the Exchequer in July, I faced a £22 billion black hole in the public finances left by the past Conservative government, who, as well as running down public services, also ran down our public finances. I had to make a number of difficult choices around spending, welfare and taxation, but I've now put our public finances on a firm footing, as well as announcing a 6.8% increase in the budgets for local authorities after more than a decade of austerity under the Conservative government. I understand the concerns and the challenges that councils face.
Nicholas Dunning, GB News.